Hello, I'm John, and this is the KAA Kajukenbo Deep Dive. Welcome back. My guests, plural today, are Senior Grandmasters Max Pallen and Grandmaster Jordan Pallen, one of the father-son duos of the martial arts and Kajukenbo world. So thank you both for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. I understand, Senior Grandmaster Max, you were just flown in from the Philippines. Is that right?
Yes. I have to get the shot and then waiting for the second shot. And then,
Great. How long are you in town? Are you leaving soon?
maybe. Pretty soon.
Great. Okay. Well, good. Well, I hope your son's taking good care of you. I think he is.
Pretty much. 110%.
So I want to ask to start with the show, can you guys tell us, first off, Senior Grandmaster Max, how long have you been doing the martial arts and Kajukenbo?
Pretty much in Kajukenbo, it's pretty much starting on the 60s.
Uh-huh.
In the early or the middle.
Okay.
So actually, I started, I watched this guy or this group, the family group of they call it the Gaylords,
Uh-huh.
and San Leandro.
Uh-huh.
One of my friends invited me to watch the parade, and I saw this group with a fest and a truck, and it is Gaylord.
Uh-huh.
So I went to there where they stopped, and here you are. Is it in MacArthur?
Yes.
I guess they just moved there in MacArthur. It has there the family, the Robert Gaylord family, and the Gaylords was actually joined at that time, and pretty much like a celebrating, and that's how I get the attention of the Gaylords karate group.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of thought about it already because I'm pretty much more like I used to be a street fighting. I needed something better than street fighting because not knowing alone with anything will put you in trouble.
Yeah,
I took
well.
maybe a little advantage on
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
learning the karate from Hawaii.
I see, that's great. And can I ask you, Senior Grandmaster, and I'm going to come to you, Jordan, next in a second. But Senior Grandmaster, you saw Grandmaster Gaylord. What was your impression of him? What exactly was he like?
At very first time when I saw him over in San Leandro,
Mm-hmm.
his pretty was like, I would say a model of a tough guy. He's pretty straightforward. He speaks a lot in the hard time, and it seems like he's pretty much in control of himself and pretty confident.
Excellent, excellent. And Grandmaster Jordan, I know obviously it's in the family, so I'm guessing this is at a young age. How long have you been in the martial arts and Kajukenbo?
Yes, I started when I was 5, so that would be in 74. Started in 74, and I've been training ever since. My dad didn't let me get away from it, man. From when I was a kid to high school to college to a career.
Oh, like a good father, making sure you stick with
Yes.
Well, Senior Grandmaster, are you proud of your son and his martial arts, the way he's done it?
Over proud with a lot of things. It's not only about being a son and being part and being building. He's actually the support, not only the support, he's my right hand on building a family. Building a family, not only in the martial art, but actually kind of support me and help me and trying to reconstruct something so that I can change my growing up in survival here in America.
Excellent. So the family bond, I think, is a really important thing. I feel like in the Gaylord branch, there's also a lot of the family bond, the Ohana. Senior Grandmaster, Max, what was the family-like experience with Grandmaster Gaylord, with Grandmaster Juarez? What was that like as training with everybody else?
Actually, when it comes to when we were training together, I started with with Lapidota, Maniati, and myself. Actually, I will talk about the end part. Training on the week, training a lot on any hours that we are agreed on, and pretty much we're four of us actually pretty much in videos and working out, not only because to perfect something, because that's like that's more like in our blood, to be able to just train, train. And actually, Waris was actually pretty much brown belt then, and Maniti was, I think it was a blue belt. And I'm not sure if I'm a brown belt or listen, I cannot remember anymore. But Lapadutal is a brown belt also. I think I was a brown belt also at that time.
Okay, all right.
And then with Gaylord, with Grandmaster Gaylord, he's pretty much a different guy, because then you see him, you meet him again, you can see the same example, the same model that you are looking forward about, that you could be able to get a lot more skill that he has on himself. And he's the guy that, pretty direct when he's talking about, and very confident of what he's talking about.
I see. And I'm sure that has a huge effect on the students. Now, Grandmaster Jordan, what about you? When was the first time that you met Great Grandmaster Gaylord?
And you know what? I remember going to my first black belt workout, when we had the monthly black belt workout. I was about 15. I was 15 years old. And I just remember it was in Fremont, the Fremont school. And you just really, like before class, he was really, that calm, nice guy. But,
I know where this is going. Go ahead.
Right? But then when it came to training, when we were doing our self-defense, man, he just pounded on you. And I was a small guy compared to everybody else. So I was like, dude, I do not want to get hit. So, I tried to go in the back where you were. So, that was my first experience. Then, you get older, you appreciate that kind of, even more. And also you appreciate wearing a cup.
Yes.
You also appreciate wearing a cup. I remember one time when I forgot my cup. I freaked out because I said, please God, do not have me as a demonstrator, as a uki, because that would have been terrible.
So you got lucky that day, I guess, huh?
Totally.
Well, that's great. Now, Senior Grandmaster Max, you spent a long time with Grandmaster Gaylord as well. Do you remember any particular lessons that really hung out with you, that really stuck in your mind and affected you as a martial artist?
It is that Gaylord teaches us, or any other thing. But anyway, with Grandmaster Gaylord is pretty much the fundamentals, and how hard you hit and how going to be effective. All the punching attack, grab art, and things like that. And pretty much actually in one-to-one fighting, freestyle, and things like that, he will give you some very effective technique that you could be able to use also. But anyway, during this time, I think it was late 80s or in the middle 80s, I started to be able to develop, heard about this karate is very popular then at that time. So now I heard about, since I have some experience and was introduced my grandfather to the Philippine martial arts. Because of this, I was really excited. And one day I thought about, hey, why don't I do some more research of the Filipino martial arts? So that's why in the late, I think on the 80s, or on the late 70s,
Uh-huh.
or even in earlier 70s, I started to travel back and forth to the Philippines and searching for the masters that would give me the good training on Filipino martial arts.
Huh.
For several years I've been doing that, and actually not because I'm not loyal, but it's because I'm explored many more type of style of Filipino martial art in different location, different region in the Philippines. So what I did, I started traveling back and forth until today. Even today, there are so many Filipino style that you cannot just say you stop. You're learning. You're
Right.
learning as you go.
Uh-huh.
And what happened is that later, at the later years, what here is that I turned over the karate parts to my son.
Uh-huh.
Because I train all three of them to be able to teach the Gaylord method of martial and our style.
Uh-huh.
But in fact, it was the responsible style that that goes within the Pallen's martial art. It
Uh-huh.
was all Gaylord method, except then the 80s or the 90s,
mid 80s.
mid 80s. Now we come up with Filipino martial art, and I did all the Gaylord method, punching attack, grab art, and even pinyan. I start to do some conversion, and that the conversion was actually started and until today. And I was surprised then that none of my group, my friends accepted that. I was surprised. But anyway, it does not matter because I am more into, regardless if they accepted it or not, I am continue exploring and developing the exploration, the conversion of Gaylord method into Philippine martial art also. But if you really looked at it, now is one of the hottest martial art is the Filipino martial art all over the world, in the Philippines.
I think the contribution to to it all is the fact that with my dad's interpretation or the conversion, it really was from converting the Gaylord method.
Right.
So I think that's the beauty of it all.
Now, I was curious about this as well. How do you feel that the Philippine martial arts mix in with the Kajukenbo? Do you feel that it adds to it or mixes with it, or how exactly do you think it affects?
Let me tell you about that. My conversion is not, it doesn't represent a combination or the mix, because I can be able to just leave the Kajukenbo alone or the Kajukenbo alone and then do it the Philippine martial art alone. But when you do the punching attack, it's strictly because you're just putting the sticks, the weapon, the knives into the hand of the whole Kajukenbo moves. It's just that instruction for the exploration of that type that I can be able to relate that between the Kajukenbo and the Filipino martial art. In fact, I put it in the video, and I gave I see if Emperado Sijo will going to accept that also. I gave him a copy in New Mexico at that time. It was, I think, in the 80s. Yeah, late 80s. And I never get back. So I wonder about it. But if the Gaylord method actually look at the way Grandmaster Jordan do our conversion, you will be surprised because it's nothing other than Kajukenbo moves.
Excellent. I think Grandmaster Gaylord will be proud of that too. That it's the Kajukenbo moves that are in there. How about you, Grandmaster Jordan? Because you saw this from the child's point of view, growing up into an adult to where you are now. How do you feel about the mixing of the Filipino arts traditional with Kajukenbo coming from Grandmaster Gaylord?
I think the blend. I think good word is the blend. Just through the years, there's you could just do a direct translation, but then it would be just the Kajukenbo forms with the stick.
Right.
What happens is you lose the Filipino flavor, the FMA. So what we've done is we've truly made a blend so that it is still FMA, but it's a true conversion, but yet has a true FMA flavor. If you want to, you know what I mean. So we don't bastardize either of the arts. We keep it, pretty genuine. But then you could see the Kajukenbo, but you could also see and appreciate the Philippine martial arts in that too.
Excellent.
And also, through the years, the little year, is that I'm teaching other Kajukenbo with his Ramos method, Rio method, and different method to be able to since I made a lot of the other style method from 5 that Kajukenbo is that now they're starting their own style Kajukenbo with Filipino martial art and using their style of the instructor, like Ramos, Filipino martial art into their style, but it wasn't the same because we're actually just kind of mixing it up, like you said. What is the difference between our style, our mixing with the FMA and Gaylord's method is because you could see that it is a Gaylord's method. It is a Gaylord's method.
Right.
So I think it was as my father response from the Grandmaster Emperado. That's why my father started introducing it to to the other branches, and that's where it is. But I want to make sure credit is due to my father for actually initiating that and having the vision and stuff. And so he deserves a lot of props on that.
Another thing also is that for many years, that is why I researched the Filipino martial art, because I never heard or I never see from Sijo. He was saying that he's FMA. That many years ago, I have not seen anything that he's teaching Filipino martial art. So that's why it come into my mind that when I started it and up to now, everybody is using it. Everybody is so excited about it. But why when Gaylord method itself, why not being able to introduce it way back when I found the real Filipino martial art in the Kajukenbo?
Right. I imagine that's a lot of the testing of the style, trying to see what works and taking time to figure out what we can take into the system as well. So we're almost finished for today. I want to ask last question for you both. And actually, I'd like to ask Grandmaster Jordan to go first on this one. And then Senior Grandmaster Pallen, Max, I'd like you to go next. If you could pass any message on to Great Grandmaster Gaylord now, what would you want to tell him? Grandmaster Jordan, please, if you don't mind first.
That's a good one. I think, that he truly left his legacy. In his philosophy of power and philosophy of efficiency. He set a good example. He was a very calm and confident want to say that because he was a very humble but powerful person, and I give him a lot of respect and acknowledge his expertise, knowledge of, and just him as a person.
Good. And Senior Grandmaster Max.
Actually, the way I looked at Grandmaster Charles Gaylord, I would say he was the backbone. He was the beginning of the Pallen's martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually the one that strengthened my skills. It's not only my skill, my confidence, because I was raised in a street fighting over in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
When I come here in America, I'm already veterans and street fighting. So that's why there are a lot of people. Even you could ask sometimes Waris and Lapaduta. We get into the signal light, kick the guy in the face, and then we continue fighting in the gasoline station. He knows that. But that's what I am, is that we before we hit and then we go.
Uh-huh.
But if we want some more, we come back. And that's why I'm talking about that he is the one that molded me into support me into giving some things a lot more better than if I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the man behind the Filipino martial arts until today.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's the good thing about this is that there's a lot of students that pass in our schools.
Mm-hmm.
And in my three sons, but it's all because Gaylord method actually started me. And so that's why the beginning of the history and the legacy is not for Max Pallen legacy, but also from the Gaylord method legacy. Actually, he's one behind it. That's what I could see. And of course, the bonding of the family, the three daughters, and then, the family itself, we have a good, until today, we have a very good kind of family type of communication. So I'm not worried about that because like Kili right now, I'm very glad that Kili has actually into it to be able to protect, not only to protect, to continue the legacy of his father.
Excellent. Well, that's all the time we have for today. So thank you both for joining us today. And for those of you at home, we hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, stay strong, stay Kajukenbo strong. Mahalo.